喂，赫恩德仔，祝你新年快乐. Or, put it slightly differently, hi, Andrew here. Happy New Year. I don't know if this will be published on Chinese New Year. I forget exactly what the date of the Chinese New Year is this year, but it's sometime this week. And as we're coming in, we've just gotten into our New Year, as the Chinese New Year is coming in, as we're coming into the Year of the Tiger, as the Year of the Tiger is my middle boy's year. He's 12 this year. The Chinese years calendar goes, or zodiac goes in cycles of 12, for those of you who are wondering why I brought up 12. We're coming into a tiger year. Ooh, I almost gave his name. My middle boy's a tiger. Got me thinking about it. I've spent a huge chunk of the day with him because he tries new adventures. Like today he learned to cook peanut brittle. And recently he learned to make pretzels. So today we were baking pretzels and peanut brittle. All as a part of a little celebration of Chinese New Year. Anyway, why do I bring that up? Because he had a miserable year. Remote schooling, lockdowns, face masks. It was miserable for him. It was also miserable for my little fella. My oldest, is a teenager now. It wasn't so bad on him. He's a little more like me. He doesn't mind being alone. He was fine with the online learning. As in fact, because he was home with me looking over his shoulder every hour on the hour, his grades actually went up. But I think that's more the exception than the rule. There was slippage with my other boys. We kept them going. But all of which to say, it's another stolen year. We gave up so much for ourselves. We took so much from them. It's time to stop. And switching gears to it's time to stop. I published something on StandUpRight.ca a couple weeks ago, and I believe the title was, "You Can Almost Hear the Narrative Shift." You could hear the changes in the narrative, but at the screeching of the brakes and the change of direction, you could hear the psychological gears grinding. And the moment it happened, the moment I knew it happened, was when I read a tweet by Chris Cilizza of CNN, one of the water-carrying douchebags of the reliable lockdown panic narrative. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, you remember, Omicron started to rip through the Northeast, through the Acela corridor, the Acela corridor, whatever it is, Washington, New York corridor. And suddenly, it wasn't those stump-toothed cousin-humping rednecks in red states who were getting sick. It was the good people, the people in Washington and the people in New York, and they were getting COVID. The double vax, the triple vax, the mask, the lockdown, the people who worked from home, not those dirty blue-collar workers who go out and, they come home with dirt under their nails and have to shower after work, not before. And the tweet from Cilizza was something to the effect of, why are we making catching a virus a moral failing? Well, shitbird, because you and your ilk made it one. For the last year, you've sat on your pompous high horse and talked down to states such as Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, and of course, Florida, and their COVID counts, and about how stupid red state hicks were getting sick, but the good people, the people you knew, weren't. The new year turned, and along came Omicron, and suddenly the good people were getting it. And suddenly the good people didn't want catching a virus to be a moral failing anymore. Oh, it was good when it was the dirty other, but not when the good people got it. Right, Chris? So that was the moment I saw the narrative screech into a U-turn. Well, we've had another screeching change in the narrative. In the last video or 3, I talked about Prime Minister Trustfund and his fringe minority of sexist, racist, white supremacist crack about the trucking convoy. And I told you I went deep undercover because, again, if you saw that video, I'm a race traitor. My kids are biracial. I'd be, when the white supremacists take over, I'm first against the wall. But there were an awful lot of brown women there on the overpass. And I was astonished at the number of brown women, misogynist, white supremacists there were in this protest. And somebody up there told me that the day before, 16,000 truckers crossed the border to join the protest. Now, the protest started about the mandate. So those 16,000 truckers are 100% fully vaxxed. Well, there goes the fringe minority of racists and sexists and white supremacists, and it's only about the vaccine. They're all anti-vaxxers. No, the vast majority of them have been vaxxed. They're not opposed to the vaccine. They're opposed to the mandate. It's about freedom. Okay. I heard a news report today on the Toronto classical radio station. A reliable parrot of the same sort of thing that you would get from Chris Cilizza of CNN. And it was a report on the convoy as it had landed in Ottawa. And it was a remarkably even-handed report. Suddenly, the good people, the smart thinkers, are not all invariably talking down. It's gotten too big, and the narrative is changing. So now we have Prime Minister Trustfund, and we have Premier Jellyfish, and we have the truckers. Somebody has to blink. Who's it going to be? I don't know, because it's not just the truckers, by the way. It's a great many more people than that. It's the people of Canada. It's the people of the United States. But somebody's got to blink. Is it going to be Wyatt and Willie? If you're not familiar with Wyatt and Willie, he's the groundhog who pops up, and if he sees his shadow, he disappears for 6 weeks. Is it Prime Minister Wyatt and Willie who popped up and saw the convoy heading his way and suddenly disappeared into his house for 5 days? Is he going to be the one? Is it Doug Jellyfish Ford who's told us, oh, mask mandates aren't going to be going away anytime soon. I'm going to keep on damaging your children? Or is it the people protesting for their freedoms? We'll see. I don't know, but we'll see.